All right, so do you know that the cost of waist pain while sewing or for fashion designers is greatly caused by wrong tools? Now, the tools I'm talking about are one, your cutting table and your sewing stool. Now, if you observe, some persons do complain of waist pain, backache, waist ache after a day or 2 or 3 days in sewing or 4 or 5 days or a week in sewing. Now, this is not as a result of their body system. This is caused 80% by wrong size or wrong height of their stool, their cutting table, and wrong posture when they are sewing. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you the recommended height for every designer, both for your stool, for your cutting table. Now, have you wondered why the height of table for sewing machines are equal or are of the same height, both for butterfly machine? If you observe, butterfly machine level is the same thing with your industrial table. Now, this goes to show that there is a reason for that particular height or fit, right? So, as well for the sewing table, I will show you the recommendation that you should work with in order to avoid waist pain, back pain, or any form of pain at all. So let's get to the video proper. All right, so here we have different heights and sizes of stool. So this is one of the stools that are commonly found in a sewing shop, followed by this one, and of course this as well. Now, among these three, which one is the best for you as a designer? Now, before we go into these two, now I want to show you one unique thing about industrial machine. If you observe, this machine is kept in a way whereby if you sit on it, your legs should form like a perfect shape there. Now let me explain further what I mean. Now, assuming that I am using this now, for example, let me show you what I mean. Let me show you what I mean. If I am using this, for example, if I place it here on my machine and sit on it, now my legs are relaxed properly and my back will not have any reason to bend or tilt. Now, unlike when I use this longer one, if I sit on this longer one, I will obviously bend my back in order to be seen or control what I am sewing, thereby causing some strain on the waist region, right? So to use a long stool that is above your knee or on with your knee is not recommended, because when you sit, it should form your legs should be able to reach on the floor. Like when you sit on the chair, you should not, your legs should not be in this bent form. It should be erect this way so that you won't have any reason to bend your body. Now, just like when we are also working with this, look at this. So if I sit on this, I am in a perfect position. Sit. My legs are straight and is straight this way. The chair is not too high nor too low. You get, so your leg should be touching the floor properly. And when sewing, you will not need to bend your back. There will be no strain or whatsoever at your back waist line. I don't know if this is capturing what I'm doing properly, but let me see proceed. So now, having explained that to the best of my ability, so next thing as well, you also need to know is that in all of these tools I have just mentioned, so if I'm to suggest the height you should get for some of us who might want to know the measurements, now from The actual base here, we have it to be 21 inches of height. 21 inches. But also bear in mind that this height is still subject to your height. Like if you're a tall person, like I am 6 feet point. So if you're a tall person, this might change or might reduce or might increase. So now this one is ideal for me because it gives me a balanced position whenever I sit on it and I don't need to bend my waistline. Likewise, the one I have here is still the same measurement range. It's still the same 21 inches, right? This is 21 and a half. So from the base, from the yeah, it sits is 21 and a half for this one. So this gives me also a perfect sitting position that I don't need to, bend my back because the stool levels my body properly. So while I sew, you sit erect and not bending your back this way. By so doing, causing some strain or pain at the back waistline. So if you observe, if I use or bring this longer one now, watch what will happen. If I pick this, I am now sitting a bit higher, too far from the machine. The angle of elevation becomes much that will make me to bend down this way. By so doing, I am having pains, straining my back so badly. So your stool is number one reason why you can have those back pain or back ache. So having said this, now let's go to the table segment. It is also the same procedure. Then for our table, this is a table I constructed um, to give me my tutorial videos. So, but the thing here is it still serves the same purpose which I want to explain for you guys. Now, for every designer, if you want to avoid back pain as well, apart from the chair I have just shown you, now the next step or the next point you want to avoid as well is your table. Now your table should not be lower than your waist region. Like the table height should not be lower than your waist point. The reason for this is when your table is lower, you tend to bend to cut. By so doing as well, adding pains, adding strain on the waist and the spinal cord region. By the time you bend this way and stay for some seconds and raise up again, bend again, it accumulates to terrible back pains. But when your table is on your waist point, you don't need to bend your back. All you need to do is just stretch your hand, cut, move your body system and cut without bending to get to the fabric. So I have seen most tailors, their table is always lower, especially wrongly those that cut on the floor. That is the worst form of cutting. Though there are some designs that you can cut on the floor, which I know comes once in a while. And if you observe, whenever you're on the floor cutting, you tend to struggle to even squat down and to even stand up because of the pains you are passing through. Imagine that you are undergoing such pains often. It will not really be okay for your health. You end up taking pain reliever every time, which is not proper for your health. So I would recommend your tables should be on your waist point. So this one is now dependent on your height. If you're tall enough, you make your table to get to your waist point. If you're average height, make your table to get to your waist point. No table should be below your waist point because the moment you start bending this way, it will accumulate to strains and pains on the waist. Let me also show you my other tables so you can also, understand better what I'm trying to explain. So this right here is also the second table I have. This one is a bit below my waist point, but not too far from my waist. So I don't still need to bend down in cutting. I will just stand erect, just this way, do my markings and chalkings, and then do my cutting as well, right? So this is also how the table should also look like. So this is also another table I have. You can see that the whole tables are within my waist region. The tables should not be too low or too high. It should be within your waist region so that by the time you want to cut, you don't need to bend the whole body in drafting. By so doing, you are adding pains or strain to your body. So I believe this video must have given you an insight on how to go about it. So now you have seen the recommended stools and tables. It is now left for you to decide if you're going to implement what you have learned in this video. Be in mind, I have had over 15 to 18 years of steady sewing, and I don't have single back pain or waist pain. It's not as if I have extra thing I'm doing. It's just because of the fact that my tables and my stools are up to standard. And I also make sure that I lay on a good bed, because if your bed is also not good enough, it will give you pains that you might think is your table or your stool that is causing the pains. So your bed as well is also the last factor you should consider. Your bed should be strong enough, not too soft, not too strong, in between, so that when you lay, you can lay flat, sideways, even face down, and your body, your bones will be straightened, right? So aside this as well, I still know that some persons are they have these body pain peculiarities. So if you observe that yours is not any of these things I've mentioned, also try to see your doctor and take appropriate medication for it. And I also try my best to avoid too much cold water. I avoid cold. I make sure I clothe very well during the night, and I try to exercise as often as possible. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Bye bye for now.